Good morning, guys, and welcome to the live stream today. As we know, the market is kind of dipping down here, in pre-market ever so slightly. That SPY really ran up last night pretty well at market close, and then now we're giving those gains right back to the downside here. So we're definitely seeing some pretty crazy movement today. We have Cathie Wood's going to be angry out here. We have these big tech stocks, or I should say, her growth stocks just continuing to get destroyed. Like, man, it just seems like every day these poor growth stocks continue down. The one good stock she has right now is Zoom, believe it or not. They actually did pretty well with earnings, which is nice to see at least. But as you can see, they are also still, just very flat this morning. Even though they are slightly up, they're not really moving all that much. There is some stocks on my watch list in the green, but of course, a lot of them are also red. It's very mixed, kind of like what I saw yesterday, but Chewy's down in the red. We have Matterport also moving a little bit lower. Seems like some of these banks today, like Bank of America, are down a little bit. Looks like Apple's actually down. So that's pretty crazy. Who knows? Maybe Cathie Wood will be a little bit happy today if, maybe if some of these growth stocks keep popping up. I see like Asana's trying to come up here at open, which is great. Looks like we have Peloton also trying to pop up. So overall, not too bad of a morning so far. I will say that SPY isn't looking too good, but, that's just the SPY. Obviously, the growth stocks can still have a mind of their own, as we all know. But, yeah, this crazy movement over the past couple days, guys. There's been some pretty big events, like Powell spoke yesterday, and then, we do have some more pretty big events coming up later in the week. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. I know tonight we have NVIDIA earnings, which I think that's going to be a pretty big event once we have that come out. But good morning, guys. Good morning, Mike, Keisha, Jamie, George, Raymond, Hunter, Peter, Sean, Vicky. Thank you guys so much for joining up today. Man, we have some pretty crazy stocks moving today. Actually leading my watch list to the downside today is Moderna, but leading me to the upside is actually Snapchat, believe it or not. It looks like they're trying to come back a little bit after those brutal earnings, or not earnings, sorry, I misspoke. That brutal guidance where they're forecasting future earnings, and man, it's just crazy to see how they fell down that much there with Snapchat. But yeah, it's trying to come back. It looks like we have Roblox also like at the top of my watch list here, trying to come back a little bit. XPEV is coming back. We have Roku kind of popping back up. So, hey, who knows? Maybe Cathie Wood won't be too mad today after all. I will say that pre-market was looking a lot worse than, these stocks are looking now that they opened up. But, yeah, even like big boys like Unity here are coming back up like 2%, which is great. Looks like Beyond Meat is actually up a little bit too. So, hey, I'll take it. If these stocks come back and DraftKings is in the green, I'll be very, very happy. And talking about DraftKings, guys, look at this big support with DraftKings, actually. It's been kind of bouncing off this support nonstop over the past couple weeks. You can see there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches on this like 1330 support. Now we're flying right back to the upside once again here with DraftKings. And I just want to point this out because it looks like a pretty good play off of support. And I will say, like, if DraftKings can end up breaking maybe some of these trend lines up here, I think we could see possibly some pretty good movement here. Let's actually draw out this trend line here because I think it is lining up. Wow, it's almost lining up like perfect, guys. I don't know if you guys are noticing this as well, but DraftKings is definitely in like a bit of a wedge here. And, if they start breaking this to the upside, it might be pretty good play for some calls later on today. I know yesterday the SPY actually had a very similar move to DraftKings like that. You can see intraday here, SPY was really trading between a big wedge, and I'll go to the 1 minute chart actually just to make it a little bit easier to see. So you can see SPY yesterday was really following that lower trend line, just bouncing off of it nonstop throughout the day, and it had that big like recovery towards the end of the day after kind of confirming off of that upper trend line then after it broke out. So, we have been seeing some pretty good technical patterns playing out lately, and who knows, DraftKings is definitely in one. I could see it potentially having a pretty good move today as long as these growth stocks continue. Looks like Snapchat is definitely continuing now up 5%. Just keep in mind, guys, 5% isn't a lot. You can see how it's only up a little bit compared to that 40% drop. So we still have a long way to go with Snapchat. Keisha says, did you see that move in NEE after I called it out? Let's check that out, Keisha. Good old NEE. I remember you talked about this yesterday, and wow, it really exploded throughout the day. Yeah, good call out there, Keisha. I will say I like the setup here. It looks pretty bullish in the way that it was starting to come back to the upside. I will say, like, I like this setup quite a bit, especially if we can break out above, like, kind of like where we're at now. If we could start popping above like $75 in a big way, I think NEE can definitely continue and maybe fill this like slight gap here on the chart. Like I think we could possibly move from 75 possibly up to around 80 or something like that. I think that is like a little bit of a possibility. So good call out there, Keisha. It definitely exploded, and I love that daily setup. I hope it keeps running for you. Raymond says, "Hold on, Cathie, we are with you," and he puts an ape and some and like an ape, a monkey, and some bananas. That's hilarious, Raymond. Man, that is funny. Keisha goes, "Facts, Raymond, facts." Peter says DKS getting clapped on bad guidance. Let's see, DKS. He also says Hunter's gonna love to hear Cathie bought Tesla, and oh man, did she buy some more shares, Peter? Man, I'm not too surprised to hear that, but yeah, DKS was down big today, this morning, Peter. That's a good point. I know that I was looking at this one earlier this morning because I was looking at some of these retailers, and I was kind of like, man, I kind of expected DKS to fall, and yeah, it fell in a pretty big way. They're a retail store. They sell clothes, sports equipment, even like ammo. They used to sell more guns, but I think they're kind of getting out of that now. But yeah, you can see how much DKS is actually down over the past year or so. I think it's making for a pretty good buying opportunity if you're asking me. So personally, I think DKS looks pretty good for the long term. Just keep in mind, make sure you pick it up at the right time. Obviously the market could keep popping down here with all these crazy events in the shorter term, but I do feel like DKS would be a pretty good pickup over the next few months, guys. So I don't know if you guys are interested in DKS at all, but it does seem like a pretty good retail company, especially since it's low right now. But going back to the SPY here, SPY is kind of coming back up today a little bit, so that's good to see. We're back up above 394. We held that 392 support area, so overall the SPY is trying to come back for us, which is making for some nice green activity. So, if you guys are liking the green movement today, smash that like button. It looks like the market is definitely coming back compared to what we saw in pre-market. So I'll take it. Like I said, smash that like button if you guys are enjoying the green price action today as well. Looks like we have DraftKings now up 3%. They are now actually up above that trend line that I was telling you guys about earlier. We'll have to see if it can continue though, because you can see yesterday DraftKings broke this trend line for the course of maybe like 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes there with that 5-minute candle, and it came right back down, kind of like what we're seeing right here. So I would really like to see a nice continuation up throughout the day today. Obviously I don't think that DraftKings is done moving yet, but I will say just be careful of fake outs. And yeah, it looks like it is having a nice pop up through there right now. So yeah, it seems like a pretty good play here if you guys are interested in those technical patterns. But other than that, we still have Roblox up 6.9%. It's continuing to try to recover up today, and it's trying to move up. It's has some good momentum. I will say, 6 or 7% is definitely good, but we're only back up to that opening price just about of yesterday. So it's not like we're really, like making back any major ground or anything like that. I mean, it's definitely good to be up like 7%, but you can see we still need to start trying to pop back up towards 35 or something like that with Roblox here, because there's just a long way to go on almost all these growth stocks. Like, it seems like the recovery is going to take a long time here. So don't expect these stocks just to come flying up like out of nowhere. Like, I don't think that we're going to see any just 25 to 50% up days or anything like that happen. So definitely be careful with that. Peter goes, I need a bloodbath for my puts to print. Sorry, Tom. And yeah, that's funny, Peter. I know a lot of people have been playing puts in different heads positions and stuff like that over the past couple days. And yeah, I feel bad because then the market's been like kind of ripping right back up. So it's been a little bit crazy. Some people would expect the market down especially with Powell speaking yesterday and everything like that. But like we talked about a lot, Powell's speech yesterday wasn't necessarily like a true like speech that's gonna like make the markets go crazy or anything. It was just opening remarks via a pre-recorded video at some economic pretty much like an economic forum or like an economic meeting, pretty much something like that. Just like a get together with like some of the industry leaders and stuff like that. There's a specific group and everything that does that. And Powell does do speeches and stuff like that at those little events every once in a while. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes like when he speaks, it's not always, gonna like make the markets go crazy. But I know everyone always freaks out about Powell speaking. It's kind of funny. And then I love how we always get like 25 different questions in the Discord chat about Powell speaking. They're like for example, Powell will be speaking at like an economic forum, and then everyone will say, when does he speak about the FOMC today? And it's like, man, he's not speaking about the FOMC. That was like at the beginning of May. That's such a different economic, I guess you could say, event than like an FOMC meeting or something like that. So it's always funny. We always get, anytime he speaks, that there's like a thousand different questions regarding the FOMC meetings and stuff like that, and it's always like, man, that's not even really like what's going on. But getting back to stocks here, we have good old Netflix popping back up here, 2.4%. Not looking bad. It's been really consolidating this week around 178. Looks like it's also like bouncing off that big support there. So who knows? Maybe Netflix can start to recover back up ever so slightly. I would definitely take the movement if it decided to, because as we know, Netflix has had two major gap downs on that daily chart, and it is getting brutal for them. So, man, I know Netflix has had a lot of weird things go on over the past couple years. I know a lot of people have been kind of boycotting Netflix politically. I don't know if you guys have heard that at all, but Netflix has had they've been doing a lot of stuff like with like wokeness and all that stuff that people do in politics and all that. So I've heard a lot of people say, hey, cancel your Netflix, or I canceled mine. And, I've been seeing a lot of that stuff. So whether you guys are into the politics of that or not, man, it seems like that stock is definitely moving. And it's not all because of the politics, of course, but man, whenever you have a lot of people boycotting it, I'm sure that that definitely doesn't help. And of course, the Russia-Ukraine situation doesn't help either. That's also never good. And I will say, guys, it's been a little bit quiet on the Russia-Ukraine front lately. I haven't really been hearing anything too crazy. If you guys have been hearing anything crazy about Ukraine, like, let me know in the comments down below, because it's been a little bit nuts over the past few months, of course, with all that news going on. But I feel like as of the past like week or 2 weeks, I haven't really heard too much. I did see a headline last night about Russia possibly like invading some cities and stuff like that, or pushing into a couple more, but overall, I haven't really seen like the whole entire picture. So yeah, if you guys know anything about Russia, let me know in the comments below, because yeah, I know it's been really moving the markets lately, and I keep seeing more and more companies pulling out of Russia. Like, for example, like McDonald's and Burger King and all these other companies. I've been seeing them continually remove stores from there. And man, I can't remember the last one. I think the last big one I saw was Starbucks. They removed all of their stores from Russia, which was very interesting. So yeah, it's just it's getting worse, it seems like, with companies pulling out of there. But I will say, guys, if you guys are interested in Starbucks right now, I think this is one of the best setups in the market. At least whenever I say best setups, I'm at least saying you're getting a pretty good company at a low price. Starbucks could always still be slightly overvalued, or something like that, but in the end, they are very, very low right now. And I feel like when we look at like a max weekly chart of Starbucks, they can continue down a little bit lower, of course, but I will say I think it's at a pretty good price point right now, and they do pay a good dividend. And obviously Starbucks would be a nice long-term play. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm really thinking about averaging into Starbucks here. The way that the price action is starting to play out down here at the bottom, I really like this. I think it's starting to look a little bit bullish in my opinion, and at least right now. So hopefully we see some nice pops out of Starbucks over the next like couple weeks or so. this one really needs to recover back. It's been a while for them, and I think they can. They did pop with their recent earnings, and they popped up initially and then fell right back down. So I would think they could have a pretty good chance to go up. Peter says, yeah, McDonald's said no Russian. Yeah. Man, I don't know if you guys know about that no Russian thing, but man, that Modern Warfare 2 mission was awfully insane for anybody who hasn't played that one. Man, that is an insane mission, but yeah, no Russians, right, Peter? I mean, it seems like those companies have definitely pulled out. And talking about like Call of Duty and Modern Warfare 2, actually, believe it or not, I don't know if you saw this, Peter, but their Activision is coming out with Modern Warfare 2 this October. I know it's not going to be the same, of course, as the old Modern Warfare 2, but it's going to be like a sequel to like the newer Modern Warfare one that was out a couple years ago. I could say I could probably get into that. It could be pretty good. Um, what's up, Fiva? He says, "Good morning, fellas. Glad to see you with the stream, Fiva. Fiva's Motorsports. Glad to see you in here. Hey, you're into some motorsports. That's awesome. I'm really into cars too. If you ever know anything with cars or anything, just let me know, Fivas, and I'll look into it. I will say I've been looking a lot at like races stock lately, which is like Ferrari, which is pretty cool. But yeah, thanks for joining up on the live stream. I appreciate that. And Peter says, yeah, you heard about Modern Warfare 2, and he's super excited. So yeah, that's awesome. And who knows? Yeah, if you guys are also excited about some of these big games and stuff like that coming up, just smash that like button, because man, it might also help move stocks like Activision stock and TTWO stock. TTWO is going to be doing stuff with Grand Theft Auto 6 over the next couple years, guys. So I don't know if you guys know about Grand Theft Auto or not, but for all of my I guess I should say like older viewers at this point, I guess all the younger viewers probably know what Grand Theft Auto is, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's just like one of those like open world games where it's kind of like you're running around as like a mafia guy or as like a gangster or something, and you can like steal people's cars and like rob banks, and you can actually trade stocks on there even and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to say that that's realistic or anything, but in the game, a lot of people have fun with that. But it's a huge game, guys, and it draws in a lot of money. And I want to point this out because TTWO stock has been exploding ever since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and people have been really anticipating Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. And it should come out over the next couple years, but the thing is that they just keep delaying it longer and longer and longer. So we'll have to see what happens with it. But some of these gaming stocks are at great buying opportunities. Like, well, I will say EA is still a little bit high. EA was a little bit lower a couple weeks ago, but yeah, like TTWO is just so far off the highs right now. It seems like such a good buying opportunity if you're into like Grand Theft Auto and some of those other games. And even if you're not into the games, at least we can respect that these games sell millions and millions of copies. Like, I'm gonna look up GTA 5 copies sold. Let's see this, because guys, this is gonna blow your mind. So GTA 5 has sold, let's see, so there's an article that came out on February 8th, 2022, and this is going to be the India Times, but they're saying that they sold 160 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, and I'm also seeing a lot of other things like digitaltrends.com also reporting that GTA 5 has sold 160 million units, second only to Minecraft, believe that or not. So that's pretty insane. Here, I'll actually bring this up for you guys really quickly because that is really insane to see here. GTA 5 sold 160 million copies, guys. I mean, that is a lot of copies. Like, I don't know if you guys even know that, but 160 million, like, what is the US population nowadays? Because, like, let's see this. The US population is like 329 million as of 2020. So imagine that. It's almost like half of our country bought Grand Theft Auto 5. That is that's pretty big there. So that is, wow, that's insane, guys. I don't know if you guys even knew the game was that big or not, but wow, I knew those games were big, but not that big. But wow, that is very telling. So yeah, I think TTWO could make for some pretty good trades, guys. But yeah, just keep it on the radar. Obviously, it's down today, but it's more of a longer term play, of course. So definitely keep that in mind. But what I do want to say, guys, is that as we've been kind of going here, my market or my market, my watch list has been slowly turning back over now down into the red. So we do still have some stocks up in the green, like Snapchat. Roblox is still green. Twitter is actually up in the green now, believe it or not. But a lot of stocks now are falling back over. So kind of going back here into some of these growth plays, we now have Asana falling back over, right back down into the red now. Let's hope DraftKings is holding up. Man, poor DraftKings is not holding up. They got rejected at that $14 resistance. They're coming right back down here. Like I said, guys, be careful of those fake outs. And, you know, we saw one happen yesterday a little bit. Kind of happened here again today. So hopefully DraftKings can hold up. Like I said, there's a big support here at like 1330. If we start blasting below this, we might have to start looking at maybe some of these plays back to the downside. But yeah, nonetheless, you know, it seems like Cathie Wood is going to get angry today because all of her stocks are now coming back down. Looks like Zoom is starting to come back down a little bit. Let's see here. RKLB, Lucid is down again. Rivian selling off in a big way. So yeah, we're seeing some growth stocks definitely pull back, guys. And if you guys are seeing any stocks that are moving that I'm missing, definitely let me know because it'll be very interesting to watch some of these stocks here on the chart. You know, I'm sure that I'm missing a couple. So if you guys are seeing any big movers or anything you guys see that has momentum, throw them in the comments down below. I'll definitely appreciate it. Hunter, or Peter, I should say, says oil inventories come out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be in about 40 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be pretty big for crude oil. I know these inventory reports always make for some big movement, Peter. I know those oil reports come out every single Wednesday, so it's always kind of fun to, you know, look out for those on Wednesday whenever we get some volatility. But talking about oil, let's check out some of these oil stocks actually, because I will say it looks like Oxy has been holding up on one of my trend lines I've had on my chart here for a little while. Let's check this out. Wow, it looks like Oxy is actually holding up quite well here at the highs on the daily chart, guys. This is pretty insane to see how Oxy is still up here at the highs. That looks like they could end up falling over a little bit. Like there's not really too much explosive movement, but you know, if this inventory news makes oil start to pop, I would not be surprised if Oxy, ZOM, and those oil stocks started moving off of that too. Talking about ZOM, actually, look at this one, guys. They are breaking out in a major way here with ZOM. I mean, this is actually insane to see ZOM popping up like this, up 1.9% up to 96.25. That is an insane breakout, actually. I wonder how CVX looks, and CVX is about to break out. So yeah, great call there, Peter, talking about oil, because it is really starting to pop up. And you know, sometimes oil can have some pretty crazy movement, and I would not be surprised if it kept flying up like this, because this is pretty big. And as we know, inflation's been going crazy, and some of these intraday moves lately on oil have been absolutely amazing. Like you could have some amazing day trades here with like this 174 breakout. We have Keisha saying Target and PFE's moving. Let's check those out. Good old Target. Let's see, TGT. Yeah, it's up 2%, trying to come back. Yeah, I'm not too surprised to see Target up here, Keisha. They have some work to do. You know, they are trying to come back with some of those retailers here. Pfizer, I know, has had some pretty good movement lately. I don't know if it's because of the vaccines or monkeypox or what exactly it is, but Pfizer has really been coming back. You're definitely right there. I saw some news a couple weeks ago where I think the Biden administration approved vaccines, or Pfizer's vaccine, for children ages like 5 to 10 or something like that. So maybe that's playing a role in Pfizer here. But yeah, either way, Pfizer really is coming up, Keisha. So great call out there. They have some really good momentum actually on that daily chart, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days in a row now ever since their last red day. So seems like they're definitely moving here. Sam says SQQQ again. Yeah, Sam, is that all you look at is SQQQ every day? You're always like, yeah, SQQQ. But yeah, it seems like it's been a good stock to play lately, Sam. Actually, it's not been too bad. If we look at like that 180-day, 1 hour chart, it's been really flying up. So I definitely don't blame you for starting to trade SQQQ, especially as the SPY starts to fall down. It'll probably make for some pretty good day trades here over the next few weeks and stuff. So yeah, good point there. Star says, what do you think about Unity? Yeah, I actually really like Unity. Star, they make one of my favorite games, which is, well, I shouldn't say they make it, but their software is used in one of my favorite games, being Escape from Tarkov. But in the end here, Unity is just falling off the cliff. So like, while I love them, Star, it's really hard to buy them. They're having a lot of issues right now. I do think that they will be fine over the next couple hours. I will say I like Unity a lot. My main issue right here with Unity is just the shorter term movement. If you really like them for the long term, Star, I would say just start grabbing up some shares or shorting puts down here. Like, you could short a put now and get, it only costs you like $3,500 to get 100 shares of Unity. So I think it's a pretty good price point right now. Nothing too crazy yet, but once that stock starts recovering, it'll definitely start to, get a little bit crazier. But just keep in mind that a lot of these metaverse plays like Unity, Matterport, Roblox, stocks like that have been having the same exact setup. Roblox actually almost has the exact same movement as Unity. Now, I'm not saying that they're 100% correlated and that they go down at the same time, but you can see here, Unity was flying up in November up to 210 and then started selling off, and now they're at lows as of this month. And same thing happened with Matterport. Same thing happened with Unity. Same thing happened with Roblox, of course. So, we're just seeing all those metaverse plays go down. So, Star, I like it, especially for the long term. In the short term, though, anything can happen, and who knows? In the short term, it will probably continue down a little bit lower. But like I said, longer term is definitely how I'm kind of looking at Unity there. And I really love it for the long term. I'll tell you, like, if you could short some puts down here, Star, I think that's an amazing opportunity that the market is giving us right now. But, the title of the stream is Cathie Wood is going to be angry today, guys. So let's go check out ARKK and see how that's kind of faring. Let's see. ARKK up 1.5%. I guess Cathie's not going to be too mad today, but I will say, guys, we need or I should say Cathie needs way bigger moves than 1.5% out of ARKK. Man, we need ARKK to come up another, let's see, what are we at now? $40 a share. Let's see, 40, 80. Man, this is almost funny. We almost need like a 400% pop out of good old ARKK to come back here. Let's see. To get back to all-time highs, mean 300%. So, wow, that is nuts, guys. I mean, that's a big a big move back to the upside. And I want to say, guys, that while her stock or her ETF here, ARKK, could go back up to 159 eventually, just keep in mind that it might not ever get back there. Like, we've seen lots of situations in the past where companies have made mistakes like this, and then they end up, going down for the next, 3 to 5 years until their fund either dissolves or until they're totally changed all their positions and everything like that. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what keeps happening with this, but I did want to check out ARKK momentarily because, we have been seeing some, more stuff come through lately. So I did kind of want to point this out here, but I will say some people were also saying that Cathie Wood was buying up some more positions yesterday. And yeah, I saw she, was buying up some Roku, looks like some Spotify. Yeah, other plays like that. I'll throw it up here on the screen in a few minutes, but give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I got some allergies going on, of course, as this weather's changing. But here, I'll throw up a chart of the SPY real quick, and you guys can see some price action. While I'm gone, though, definitely let me know some more stocks to look at. I'll look at them as soon as I get back here. Alrighty, guys, I am back here. Let's see. We have George saying coin and Pinterest are above 4% today. So let's go check out some of those stocks. Those could definitely make for some interesting ones to check out. Yeah, Coinbase is really flying up today. Really good point, George. They are having a nice pop, and yeah, it's actually not looking too bad. I will say Coinbase kind of reminds me of like Nvidia today. Nvidia is another one of those stocks that, it popped up today, and it's holding up kind of similar to how Coinbase is. Like they popped up at market open. Now they're just consolidating back down ever so slightly, but looks like they are trying to get like a bit of a second leg here, moving back to the upside. So honestly, not too bad with Coinbase. I'll definitely take it. Not bad here. He also said to check out Pinterest. So let's see, good old PINS. Let's see, they're up 5.45%. Wow, nice one here, George. Yeah, they're coming up in a nice way here, breaking out up above this recent high of like $18. So yeah, I like this one intraday. It looks like a pretty good play. I feel like you could get some pretty good like maybe momentum plays out of this, especially if it continues up here maybe for the next couple hours or something like that. Could definitely have some good movement. So thanks for calling out that one. It looks pretty good. Star says he really likes A, B, and B for the long term too. Airbnb is one of those stocks that I like, and I really love their concept as a company. I'm just hoping that it can hold up and start to do better here, Star, because as we can see, their chart's been brutal. That last earnings report definitely didn't help out too much. It seemed like it tried to help maybe a little bit, but they ended up giving all those gains right back to the downside. Let's go see how that earnings moved initially, actually. So, yeah, the earnings initially moved up, and then over the next week just slowly gave those gains right back. And I feel like we've been seeing that happen a lot lately with earnings, where stocks will have pretty good numbers, and then they'll end up giving those gains right back off. And, yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate to see, but I will say, like, Airbnb, I like it as a company. I feel like that it will be pretty good. My issue with them is that they're probably a little bit overvalued still here in the shorter term. Here, I'll actually pull them up on the dashboard really quickly. Hang on here. Let me get the dashboard up for us. And then I will check out good old Airbnb, because I think they're still a little bit high. Let's see their revenue growth here. Yeah, I mean, the revenue growth is definitely a little crazy, but keep in mind that this monthly data is a little skewed. Keep in mind that some of these companies, like for example Airbnb, seems like they do a lot better in Q3 of every year. I guess that's because the first and second quarter is generally like, the first quarter of course is like a lot of winter months, and the second quarter is spring starting. But I feel like the third quarter, you're like in the heart of summer. Like you have July and June and all of those big months that I think play a bigger role, than I guess, some of the other months. But you can see how in Q3 they generally do better. So, as we approach Q3, that might be a pretty good like play to look at on Airbnb. But I will say in the shorter term, they do have a pretty big market cap, $69 billion. It looks like their price of sales is at 10, which is pretty high. Their net profit margin is only at like 12%, so nothing too crazy there. I would say this stock could still fall a little bit, just given what I'm seeing with this, but keep in mind, I'm not going too far in depth here. I'm just kind of looking at some of the upfront numbers and some of that like revenue growth. Obviously, 2020 was a bit of a down year for them, so always keep that in mind. It might not be the most accurate thing to look at 2020 because they were a little crazy there, but I do like them for the long term too, Star. I will say I like Airbnb and I love their concept as a company, and I feel like that they'll do better. It's just in the short term, unfortunately, they have been hit with a lot of different issues, and I think that as we start to get back into some of these obviously like hotter months and stuff, I think that they'll report some better numbers. So hopefully we see some more better earnings come out with Airbnb on that next report. Looks like they're going to be reporting next on August 2nd. So yeah, we do have a couple months on that report, but hopefully they can come in with some decent numbers there and some decent movement. So far intraday, it actually looks pretty good though, I will say, Star. It has some good momentum, and if it can break the double top it's kind of sitting at here at like 108.30, I think Airbnb might be a pretty good intraday candidate today. So definitely eye them up. Sam says, yes, US Steel never came back from its 2006 highs. It was a $90 stock at one time. I don't know if Tesla is going to save Cathie Wood at this time. Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to either, Sam. She has too many other big positions now, and I know that Tesla is one of her highest weighted stocks, of course, but whenever I look at her, whenever I look at like all of the ARK funds combined here, and I look at the total holdings, Tesla has a 5.62% weighting. Zoom has a 5.5% weighting. Then Roku has a 4.8% weighting. So, yeah, I don't think Tesla will save her this time. I think that it's going to take great movement out of all these other growth stocks as well. DraftKings is actually combined through all of her portfolio, or through all of the ARK holdings, is actually at 4.31% weighting out of all of those, which is pretty high. That's her fifth highest weighted stock. So Square actually has a higher weighting than, or I mean, I should say DraftKings has a higher weighting than Square, Teladoc, Coinbase, Shopify. So interesting to see how she's getting more and more of DraftKings. But I will say DraftKings today, guys, is coming right back up. It's starting to break back out above this trend line once again. I don't know if you guys are interested in these technical patterns at all, but if you are, this play, I'm telling you, I know it pulled back a little bit earlier after it broke this trend line, but I feel like that this trend line and this support here have been playing out pretty well the past couple weeks. And with the way DraftKings has been consolidating, I would not be surprised if it started to pop back up a little bit. I could definitely see if it could there, but yeah, I didn't mean to get off topic too much there, but yeah, in the end, though, Tesla, I don't think that will help Cathie Wood this time. I mean, obviously, it'll help her, but I'm not sure, like you said, if it's going to totally save the ARK funds or not, because, man, those funds are just brutal. Like, I hate to say it, guys, but, I used to think Cathie was okay. Like, I never thought she was grade A, or, like, for example, I knew a lot of her stocks were very, very risky, to say the least, which is why personally, I didn't get into like any of them. Like I didn't get into like Zoom or Roku or Square or Teladoc or Coinbase or anything like that up at the high. The only thing I got into the middle of it at was DraftKings. But I will say, even with DraftKings, for example, I waited a long, long time to finally start picking up DraftKings. I started grabbing it at like $30, and then I just kept averaging down and down and down. I think my average cost right now is somewhere like $26 or so. Keep in mind, though, I'm not counting like any times I've ever won on any covered calls or anything like that either. But generally, my share price is like right around 26 on DraftKings. So we'll have to see how that can keep moving here. But hopefully, I can keep averaging in down here, and maybe my average price will end up being like $20 or something. That would definitely be awesome if we could have that. But possibly even lower, with all the covered calls and everything like that going on. Let's see. Hunter says, I think Teladoc was way higher weighting, but it fell 40% plus in one day, and then it wasn't any longer. I thought that too, Hunter. I also thought that Teladoc was a lot higher in that weighting as well. So I was really hoping that Teladoc, for example, would hold up a little bit better like that. So I can't believe they fell off that much, but yeah, that weighting definitely went down there, Hunter. I agree. I thought they were a lot higher. Let's see. We can actually see some of her trades here. Let's see if she's been like selling off some Teladoc. Maybe she has. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like she actually didn't make any recent plays with Teladoc, but I know yesterday she was buying up Tesla. Yesterday I saw some people were mentioning that in Discord. Let's see what else. Spotify, Roku. Interesting, but yeah, no more. I guess she's done with Teladoc, Hunter. I guess it dropped too much for her. She probably gave up, but but yeah, poor Teladoc here. It's so low now at this point, guys. I don't even know what to think about this company. They had that negative 41 EPS on that last one. I know there was something weird that caused that to be negative 41, but still, that is insane. Hunter goes, best analyst in the world. Yeah, that's funny, Hunter. I feel bad for some of those people in ARK. I feel especially bad for all the new traders that have been following Cathie and that are getting destroyed. I'll be honest, like I felt bad, I in the beginning, I wanted to grab a lot of these stocks too, but I was just going off of straight up price action, and in my opinion, I just thought they were a little bit too high in the short term, just based off of movement alone, not even based off of valuations and stuff. But then once you start talking about the valuations, it's like, yeah, they were definitely overvalued, guys. Like they were overbought on the charts, they were overvalued with fundamentals. I mean, it was just it was a bad time, guys, overall. And of course, we had COVID and the markets, rates were at 0.25% for too long, and yeah, inflation started moving up, which helped some of these stocks in the beginning then, but then now, as we know, it's starting to, cause some issues. So it's been pretty crazy, guys, over the past couple of years, to say the least. But yeah, I will say ARKK and Cathie, they're definitely a little bit angry, but Cathie should be a little bit happy today, considering Zoom's popping up a little bit. I mean, this should definitely give her at least some type of happiness on the inside, which is good. So at least we're seeing Zoom hold up with earnings. Let's see. He says Hunter says Teladoc was second in ARKK when it fell over 40% in a day. I'm pretty sure, but it fell so much the weighting got cut from 7% to 4.3%. Yeah, that is rough, Hunter. I mean, wow. Yeah, that's like, wow. Yeah, that's terrible. I can't believe the weighting got cut that much off that bad move. Like, yeah, wow, they're poor stock. Yeah, it just keeps getting lower and lower, and it's like moving quicker than the other stocks are to the downside, which is insane. Like, I can't believe Teladoc keeps having these bad gaps to the downside. Like you see right here on the daily, like, they had that another big gap down, but they'd been like not really gapping down, but they've been like flying to the downside for the past year. But that recent gap was just terrible. I can't believe that they fell again. But that just goes to show you guys that some of these growth plays can keep moving lower, so it can happen. And guys, don't forget to smash that like button. I'm really enjoying these live streams in the morning. Glad to see you guys all in here, and the more likes we have, the more good conversations and everything like that ends up coming, because YouTube will end up pushing this in the algo, and we'll get some more fresh faces in here, talk about some more crazy stocks, and who knows, maybe even get some big moves here going. But we have Star saying, can you tell us some of your big positions in your portfolio? And sure, I mean, I'll go over some of them. I won't go into all the crazy specifics with all of them, Star, but I will say I'll go into some of them. So like I said, I have DraftKings. It's my highest weighting in my portfolio. So looking at DraftKings here, it's looking pretty hot. Keep in mind, guys, I have a few different portfolios too. Obviously, if you guys don't, you guys should have like some type of like Roth IRA or some type of IRA going. So if you guys are talking about positions, keep in mind, I'm talking about positions more of in my brokerage account that for example, like ones that I'll trade stocks in more of a riskier manner than like an IRA, for example. So in an IRA, you generally buy into some safer funds, maybe some indices, stuff like that. Generally like safer movers, maybe some bigger stocks, and you like hold them all for the long term. Whereas in my portfolio, I'm getting more of like growth stocks and, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But of course, like I said, DraftKings in this portfolio has the highest weighting. So I'm into DraftKings quite a bit. I also own some Corsair. Corsair isn't too crazy. I do own some of them though. I'm also into Intel, which I really like for the long term. I know that they're not looking too hot here short term, but I feel like for the long term, Intel will be pretty good. They also pay a decent dividend, which is good. And Intel is also getting into, the graphics card market and different stuff like that in the next few years, hopefully. I know they've been developing a lot of different stuff. So, like I said, DraftKings, Intel, Corsair. Man, there's so many here. Hang on, let me go look. But I know a couple of the others, of course. So one of my favorites, of course, is Kraft Heinz. I mean, looking at KHC here, I've been loving Kraft Heinz this year, guys, but it did have that big tumble down with Walmart and Target a couple weeks ago. So that has been a little bit rough, but I'm still up on this one quite a bit. I was buying this one really, really low down here, guys. So even if Kraft falls a little bit, I really like this play longer term. And like I said, it's a longer term play. In the short term, I think anything can happen with Kraft, but you can see how crazy the price action has been over the past couple years. We've been really kind of holding here at like $35. So I've been liking Kraft. I've been kind of mixing this portfolio up a little bit. Some growth stocks, some safer ones. So and keep in mind when I say safe, these aren't generally like super safe stocks, but they're safer when compared to when you look at growth stocks like DraftKings or stocks like that. So I'm also holding some AI in this portfolio too. If you guys are interested in AI, so that's a pretty big one I'm holding too. AI I'm down quite a bit on. I will say I bought into this one around like $30, and now we're sitting at like 17. So on some of these stocks I am down, but keep in mind as these stocks go down, you guys can still sell like weekly covered calls, or you can do lots of different stuff to try to make some more money here in the shorter term. Of course, you might lose your shares sometimes, but you can always rebuy those back in, and it still though you can end up making quite a bit usually off of like covered calls and stuff like that. But yeah, those are some of the stocks in my portfolio there. Star, of course, like I said, there's always some more stocks that I own, but those are some of my favorite ones as of now. I feel like a lot of those are at great price points too. I also own some Disney in different portfolios and stocks like that. I'm honestly waiting to buy Disney a little bit lower down here too. Like I don't have too much of them, so I could really like average in down here around 100, and my price could end up becoming pretty low. I do want to say, guys, like Disney is right around $100 a share. Like if you guys are looking for good plays for the long term, Disney might be an awesome one to grab. And I'm telling you, I'd be getting them right now if I didn't have so much DraftKings shares. I'll tell you, I'd probably be grabbing a lot of different stocks down here, of course. I know you can't always grab everything because there's always some type of limitation, but I will say Disney is looking extremely hot down here. And yeah, for the long term, this one's one of my favorites. Hopefully it keeps holding at $100. I mean, it can fall a little bit lower, but I mean, it is so close to 100. It's like one of the best buying opportunities I've like ever seen actually out of Disney, I should say. Of course other stocks can go lower at any time, but as far as Disney is concerned, I really like this move here. So yeah, it looks pretty hot, but nonetheless here, just so many stocks are at great longer term levels. I think we could see some amazing buying opportunities over the next few weeks. But yeah, that kind of that covers a lot of my stocks there, Star. So hopefully that helped out a little bit. Like I said, I have a few different portfolios, but those are the stocks generally in the growth / like risky portfolio. So I guess you could throw that out there. But yeah, so far today, guys, I'm kind of looking here at more movers today, and I'm noticing Wendy's is kind of holding up here after that big pop last night. So Wendy's is now up 11%, trying to come back up to those highs of after hours yesterday, and seems like it's having some pretty big intraday moves here. So I'll take it with Wendy's. It's actually not looking too bad. Let's see here. We have Keisha saying Target's on the move. TGT, is it coming back? Yeah, it's up 3.7%. I will say though, this one has a long way to go, so 3% isn't really too much for me on Target here, but I'll definitely take it though, Keisha. It's better than still falling off to the downside. I definitely feel you with that. Let's see. Hunter says she also bought 92,000 shares the 2 days before it tanked with Teladoc. So yeah, I remember that, Hunter. It seems like every time she buys anything, it just gets destroyed. And I can't believe she bought in right before that drop again. Like, it just keeps getting worse and worse for her, Hunter. I mean, people are slowly going to start waking up. And, like in the beginning, I kept thinking, Cathie's stocks, they might come back and, she'll end up being pretty good again within like a year. But man, they didn't come back at all. They just kept going down, and it was brutal. As we know, those stocks were extremely overvalued. So pretty nuts there. Peter says KSS is up on buyout news. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. Kohl's was looking to get bought out by somebody. Whoever owns Kohl's was looking for a deal on them. So pretty interesting to see how KSS is popping up today, up 13% again. So yeah, definitely some great movement here. Once again, guys, I'll be right back. Sorry, these allergies today are brutal. I'll be right back. But here, I'll throw DraftKings up here on the chart because DraftKings is now breaking out of our trend line, and it looks like it's going to be popping up above $14. So look at this one. It actually has some pretty good intraday price action going on here. Alrighty, so looking at some more stocks here, guys. Sorry about that. Like I said, these allergies are getting crazy here, especially right now. You know, it's like May heading into June. Usually the allergies come at like February or something. But yeah, it's pretty good still here with DraftKings. They're holding up. They're still holding up above that trend line. I'm curious to see if they're going to still be able to get a nice pop up here or not. Hopefully they do over the next few minutes. It would definitely make for some amazing movement. Star says, thanks for answering my questions. One final one, though. What stock that you do not currently own that you would like to get? Are you waiting for a stock to get to your price level? So, you know, there's actually quite a bit that I'm waiting for, Star. So, you know, as far as stocks go, Hunter says he's waiting for Google and Microsoft for himself. Oh, wow, here we go. DraftKings actually starting to break out a little bit more now, guys. Who knows? Maybe throw this on the watch list. Maybe get some nice intraday scalps going on. It could make for some good movement. But Hunter says he's waiting for Google and Microsoft for him. You know, I do like those companies, and I feel like that they're going to be just fine for the long term, of course. I'm kind of more of waiting for like NVIDIA, AMD, stocks like that. I think those stocks are going to be my personal favorites to grab down here at the lows. Of course, like I said, I already have Intel and a couple other ones, but I really, really like NVIDIA here. I think NVIDIA will be one of the best stocks over the next 5 to 10 years. I really, really do. And it's been one of the best stocks over the past 5 years anyways, but I will say I really, really like NVIDIA. I think that personally, I think like NVIDIA and AMD and stocks like that, I think those will have better growth than like Google and Microsoft, for example, but that's just my own thoughts. You know, everybody has their own opinions, of course, but I really like these companies better. I know that they are valued pretty high right now, but then again, some other companies are valued even higher. So, you know, I definitely see that. But yeah, I like a lot of these companies for the long term. Apple's another one. I'm not into Apple at all. I really like them, though. I feel like if they could fall down enough to a good enough level, Apple would really entice me to pick some up. It's just the thing is Apple generally doesn't they don't really fly down all that often. And I know they've came down a little bit in the past, but yeah, generally I'm really bullish personally on like Nvidia and AMD. I like those a lot, especially Nvidia. But just keep in mind, you always have to buy things at the right prices. So it doesn't always mean that, you know, Nvidia is a great buy at the moment. It always depends on, getting stuff at the right time. Like you said, stocks that I'm like waiting to jump into. And Nvidia is one of them, I'll tell you. And I'm getting pretty enticed to maybe grab some up if we could get down to like 150 or something like that. I'll really look at grabbing some, but we'll have to see how the movement goes over the next couple months because all this news with raising rates and everything, it's been really crashing the market. And I'll tell you what, personally, I would not be surprised if we continue to see the SPY and some of these indices continue to fall off. Now, it's not just going to go straight down. I think we might see a lot of mixed price action in between, but I could see the SPY here still falling off a little bit lower down. Hunter says he sold his Apple shares a couple months ago and he'd like to get them again. Yeah, I mean, that was probably a good sell up there at the top. And yeah, I'm definitely looking to eye some more up here. Who knows? This might be a good dip buy on Apple at the moment. But, with everything going on in the market, personally, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If this was more of like a normal time and we weren't going through like a rate hike cycle and, the feds weren't selling off bonds and everything, I would look to get into a couple more. But let's see. Hunter says Nvidia was one in the video Mike and I made as well. It was just so far away from my price. Yeah, I feel you, Some of these stocks are they're going to stay away from your price for a long time. That's the issue. So it just depends if they can get there or not. Personally, I think Nvidia's at a pretty good price right now. Now, I know obviously, you can look at fundamentals and everything like that and always draw different conclusions, but I like the price action on the chart right now. I feel like if Nvidia goes down to 100 or so, I'll be really eyeing them up down there, but I don't know how low they're going to get here. Maybe like 120, maybe 150 is a good low, but I'm definitely going to eye them up. And, the best thing is I'll probably just keep averaging into them. So, but I really like Nvidia either way. I don't even care if they're really overvalued or not, because as we know, a lot of stocks have been overvalued and they still end up going up. But I know waiting for the right time to buy is definitely important. So that's why I still haven't bought it. I'm still waiting. So hopefully we can see it come in at a decent price at some point here. It sucks to see that these stocks are still so overvalued, even though they've been falling off a lot. But yeah, it's going to be crazy over the next few months. I know, hopefully some of these stocks start popping back. I feel like for the future, Nvidia will be pretty good. I just hope I can get it at a good price. That's the main thing. And over the next few months, I'm just so curious to see how low the market keeps going, because like I just said like 15 minutes ago or like 5 minutes ago, in my opinion, I think SPY and a lot of these big indices can keep going down a lot. So if SPY and those stocks keep falling off, like of course stocks in them like Nvidia, Apple, and stocks like that will probably keep going down too. So that's what I'm really waiting for. I'm waiting for that SPY to finally form like a nice bottom. Once I see, I should correct myself. Once I see the SPY form a nice bottom, then I will probably look at buying up like Nvidia and stocks like that, because I do feel like that the overall market does play a pretty big role in a lot of these price movements as well. And what I want to point out is since the beginning of the year, of course, a lot of stocks have been tanking off, and it's just been causing a big snowball effect. So when these stocks start to rise, hopefully it causes a snowball effect, but back to the upside. So that would be nice. Hunter says his price is going to change after tonight based on their earnings. He goes, I want to see their revenue growth outlook. Yeah, me too, Hunter. I'm really curious to see what they do. I have a weird feeling that it might not be as good as people are expecting. Like we've been seeing a lot of companies lately come out and kind of surprise people with some of the bad outlooks here. So I'm hoping that they can come out with some good numbers, but there's been a lot of supply chain issues and stuff. And I know Intel CEO said that those supply chain issues were pretty bad, and he expects them to extend into 2024. And I know Intel got hurt pretty bad on their past earnings report. Now, I know Nvidia and Intel are two totally different companies. Like Nvidia deals a lot with graphics cards and stuff like that, whereas Intel mostly does like CPUs, which is central processing units. NVIDIA deals with graphical processing units. Now, I will say Intel does make some GPUs as well, but keep in mind they're nowhere near like NVIDIA. NVIDIA is huge into GPUs for anyone who doesn't know that, but yeah, they're pretty different. But Intel did report some issues with, you know, chip delays and supply chain issues and stuff like that. So maybe that will end up bleeding over into you know, maybe into NVIDIA a little bit here. That's going to be crazy, Hunter, because I know like Intel, I think their guidance was pretty bad. I can't remember exactly, but with them forecasting supply chain staying bad, I think they forecasted some pretty bad growth there. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I know, like I said, they're two totally different companies, but just trying to draw some type of insight here, at least just a little bit. I know it's all speculation, but so yeah, keep that in mind, guys. It's all speculation when we're talking about this tonight, but we'll have to see how it goes. I hope it's good though, Hunter, because I would love to see NVIDIA start to pop back up. It's been a long time since they've been running, but I would love to grab them also around 100. So I know it's a little conflicting here, guys, but if NVIDIA does fall, hey, at least we can grab them lower. So that's always the good news there. So yeah, I appreciate you guys all joining up the live stream today. Peter said crude oil inventories are T-minus 1 minute. Let's go check out /CL here. Looks like /CL almost broke my thinkorswim. Let's see, 5-minute charts. Yeah, not really too much movement yet here today. It looks like, let's check out the 1 minute. Maybe we'll see some movement on that. Yeah, nothing too crazy yet. Let me pull up the crude oil inventories here. Crude oil inventories. I know I love looking at these inventories. I used to be a lot more into these, but nowadays I'm not too into the U.S. inventories just because, you know, like OPEC and all those countries have been making such a big difference lately, so it's been a little bit worse. Let's see here. I know investing.com always does a great job of putting this out here. So yeah, here we go. It's already out on investing.com. We can see here the actual came in at negative 1.019 million barrels. Forecast of negative 0.737 million. The previous, it looked like they were down 3.394 million barrels. So you can kind of see here on the chart how it's been kind of going back and forth, back and forth. Of course, they're trying to kind of hopefully bring down the price of oil, but as we know, a lot of times, you know, like I said, the U.S., they can try to unload as much inventory as they want, and they can try to control the price of oil. But then again, always keep in mind you have OPEC, and you have all these big countries coming out here also affecting the price of oil. So just keep that in mind. So, you know, there's always a lot of different stuff going on with oil. It's always a very conflicting sector. And sometimes we see crazy movement with oil, you know, like you would generally think like, hey, if the U.S. unloaded some of their inventories onto the market, that might try to drive the price of crude oil down, you know, as they're, you know, increasing supply. But demand right now is so insane that it's, you know, oil is just continuing to move. So it's very conflicting right now with oil. Like I said, OPEC and those other countries almost make more of a difference now than even the U.S. does, especially with all the Russia stuff. So keep that in mind. George says GME is now up 10% and Amazon's shooting up. So, wow, that's pretty nice, George. GME's up 10%. I'm pretty surprised to see this one. You know, they've been moving in a pretty rough way lately. If we look at that 1-year daily chart with GME, they almost got down to those lows again, actually, of like 77. So, glad to see them trying to pop up here a little bit more. That's very nice to see. Oh, yeah, you also mentioned Amazon. Let's see, good old AMZN. Up 3%. Yeah, not bad here. Kind of double bottomed. Amazon has that big split coming up here soon, guys. 20-for-1 split. Okay, on June 6th. It's only actually in a couple of weeks. Let's see. Yeah. So it's not next week, but the week after on Monday, this one will be splitting. So definitely keep Amazon on the radar, guys. You know, Tesla and Apple kind of flew up heading into their earnings. So keep in mind that Amazon is going to be a pretty crazy stock here, and I think that it might start to get some hype here heading into those. But what I do want to say is that right after the split, Tesla and Apple both fell down for a couple of weeks right after it. So just keep in mind that it might make the stock move up short term, but after that, it's not going to really move it too much. And what I also want to keep in mind, guys, is that, whenever I say it's going to make the stock move, keep in mind that the only reason that the split is affecting the stock is because of people kind of going crazy because of it. So it's going to cause a lot of hype and a lot of short-term volatility because of the split, but the split doesn't really change anything about the company. It still has the same valuation. It still has the same everything. It's just that now there's more shares on the market and the stock's at a lower price. So just keep that in mind, guys. I don't want you guys to think like, hey, the split's going to make Amazon rise because, now it's going to be worth 20x or whatever. That's not the case, okay? Just the only reason these stocks move heading into splits is like hype. It's kind of like a stock heading into earnings. Like lots of people, they love to buy up, kind of like how tonight Nvidia is going to be reporting. So lots of people today might be buying up Nvidia in anticipation of that. And some people are kind of buying up Amazon in anticipation of the split. And I think that's mostly because they just don't know how splits work, because once the split happens, you could always buy it after the split, and it's going to cost you the same amount of money either way. Like if you put 20 grand into Amazon before the split, and then the split happens, Amazon's still going to be worth 20 grand for you after the split. So just keep that in mind. I don't want anyone to get too confused by this. Let's see. Sean says Spider at 397. Let's see. Spider. I guess Spy up here. Yeah, it is. It's at 397. It does look like Spy is maybe trying to come back here, Sean. Here, guys, I actually want to point this out because Spy has been following this trend line on my chart here for a few days now, and it looks like we're finally going to be popping up above this. So I wanted to point this out because it looks like a pretty good play if we could get a nice breakout. So who knows? Maybe the market will keep popping up today, but so far it's having some great price action. But I will say I appreciate you guys all joining up the stream today. Peter, Sean, George, Hunter, Keisha, Star, Sam, of course, Fiva Motorsports. Glad to see you in here. Jamie, Raymond, Vicky. I appreciate all you guys joining up. It was a pretty good day. Cathie wasn't too sad overall. She's her ARKK is up 4%. So, she didn't have to get too angry this morning, but I will say it was looking rough there in pre-market. Peter does say check out MAXR. Huge news on it. Let's see. Maxer. Let's see. Huge news. It's only up 0.69%, but it did have some pretty big pops here at market open. Let's check it out on Thinkorswim, what their big news are. MAXR. Let's see. Oh, wow. What's this? Did they adjust some of their guidance here? Wow, it looks like they might have... Oh, wow. They won a 10-year contract with the U.S. National Reconnaissance Officer for electro-optical commercial layer acquisition. And guys, that is too big of a tongue twister. I don't know how that even is the name of a company or something, but wow, that is insane. But yeah, big move there. Peter, I appreciate you pointing this one out. It looks like it's definitely starting to move up a little bit. Hopefully it keeps moving because it's not up. Oh, is it halted? Oh, it's halted. Oh, it's halted. Okay. That makes more sense there. George says, what do you make of this VZ price action these past few days? Giant bear flag, question mark? Let's see. All right, George, I'll check it out for you real quick. Giant bear flag. Let's see. On the daily. Ooh, I kind of see what you're saying here, George. No, I don't see that as being a big bear flag. I will say a lot of times people try to draw different drawings and stuff like that. And, it can always be hard to maybe identify some. I'm trying to see, this is one trend line I'm kind of noticing here on the chart that looked pretty good. I will say there was a pretty big resistance there in the short term. Maybe if this is what you were talking about, George, if this is the type of flag, I guess you could say you were seeing, then I could see that. But keep in mind, like, that's more of like a bullish flag setup, in my opinion, rather than a bear flag. A bear flag would have the flag more of like down here at the bottom, in my opinion, but I don't know. I'm just going based off of like what I'm seeing here on the daily chart. What time frame are you on here? You said the last few weeks. Maybe it means like an hourly chart. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, kind of on the hourly. Yeah, it looks like a nice little flag. It definitely formed there, George, but I'm kind of seeing the breakout of that flag today. You know, like we're breaking out above $50. We're breaking out above the top of that flag, and it seems like VZ is starting to run. So personally, I think they were in a bit of a bullish flag setup there, George, but keep in mind it's really hard to look at these setups and tell while they're like in the middle of the movement. So it definitely takes some skill, and I will say, like, whenever you have a stock like VZ that just fell off after earnings that much, a lot of times it makes these technicals a little bit crazy too. So also keep that in mind. He said, George says right, because I see a big resistance right about where it is now. Yeah, I also see a big resistance where it is now, but I'm not really seeing that play out as much of a flag at this resistance here, because that is a big resistance. You're definitely right about that. That is a very big level. But whenever I was looking over the past couple weeks, personally, I was feeling like this resistance here was more important. And once we started breaking this resistance, we started having some pretty big moves. So it's always important to make sure you see the right level too. Like, of course, this is a big resistance, but there was also resistance down here at like 49.50. I will say, though, Verizon's a pretty slow mover, so it's having like nice 50-cent moves for you, George. It's just not anything too crazy, so it's kind of hard to, look at. But some of those intraday moves look pretty big, even though it was only 50 cents. That's still a decent move for a stock like VZ, like I said, which generally moves slow. But yeah, really nice, good call out there, George. I'm glad you brought that up, because now I kind of see a bit of a setup on VZ. So thanks for bringing this one up. Maybe they'll keep recovering. If they break out above $51 or something, I think VZ could possibly have a pretty big move here. And Peter says MAXR is a space and defense stock. It's been halted on news pending since open. So, wow, I didn't realize it was ever since market open. But yeah, that's pretty crazy there. George says, yeah, this is a dividend play. So, wow, that's good, George. I will say I'm glad you're buying up VZ down here at the bottom. I think that Verizon and AT&T will be some pretty good pickups here over the next couple months. I do like the setup on AT&T a lot. Wow, it actually kept rising, guys. Like, I was talking about this one a few days ago, maybe even like last week on the stream, but yeah, it just kept flying up. So yeah, definitely eye up some of those telecommunication companies. I think they can do pretty well here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Like I said earlier, we have a lot of big companies here reporting tonight. We have Nvidia coming out, of course, tonight. We have Snowflake tonight as well. Splunk, SPLK. So definitely keep some of these on your watch list. And if you guys want, you can go ahead and screenshot this if you want, or do whatever you want. But here's the earnings for tonight, guys. Like I said, Nvidia is going to be my favorite. Hopefully they do pretty well, but honestly, if they do bad, hey, I'll get to grab more shares lower. So honestly, I don't care what they do either way, but as long as it has some good movement, I'll be very, very happy. So like I said, thank you guys so much for joining today. I definitely appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we can bring in some nice profits.